It started with a laugh. Not mine, my daughter's. She was curled up on the couch with her mother's iPad, legs tucked under a pink throw blanket, giggling at some video while I was in the kitchen rinsing dishes. A normal Saturday afternoon. Quiet. Ordinary. Too ordinary. Then came the buzz. I wouldn't have noticed if it hadn't happened twice in a row, 2 quick vibrations, like a heartbeat. The screen lit up with a preview banner. Telegram. I glanced over without thinking, without any reason to feel the rush of cold that spread through my chest. I was halfway through drying my hands when the second buzz came, and this time the message popped up fully. Last night was still in my head this morning. You taste like sin, but I want more. It was followed by a winking emoji. My hand froze on the towel. I told myself it had to be a joke. A prank. A stupid meme maybe. But my feet moved on their own, slow and careful across the hardwood floor, my eyes fixed on the top corner of the screen. Lucas, work. My daughter looked up at me, oblivious. Dad, can I get Roblox money? I nodded absently. My hand reached for the iPad before I even realized I was doing it. Hey, sweetheart, I think mommy needs this back for a sec, okay? Okay, she chirped, skipping off like it was any other day. It wasn't. I took the device into my office, shut the door behind me, and stared at it like it was a live wire. For a long moment, I didn't touch it. Didn't breathe. Then I opened the app. And everything, my marriage, my faith in her, my identity as a husband, began to fall apart, one message at a time. We looked good on paper. Claire and I had been married for 11 years. 2 kids. A brick colonial in a decent neighborhood with fall wreaths on the door and string lights around the porch come December. We were the couple people pointed to and said, now they've got it figured out. I used to believe them. She worked downtown at a financial services firm, sharp blazers and tighter schedules. I stayed home, freelanced as a designer, juggled carpools and parent-teacher conferences, always first to show up and last to leave the bake sales. We joked about it, how we'd flipped the old script. Modern love. Teamwork. And it worked. Or it did. Until it didn't. Because love isn't just about function. It's about feeling. And somewhere along the way, I stopped feeling anything from her. Claire had grown quiet in the mornings. She used to hum while brushing her teeth, used to kiss me twice before leaving, once at the door, once through the window after she got in the car. Now it was one-word goodbyes, rushed movements, and a phone clutched in her hand like a second heartbeat. I thought it was stress. Deadlines. Her boss. I excused it all because I was loyal. Because I wanted to believe the best in her. Because she was my wife. And then came the iPad. Maisie, our daughter, found it on the counter one Saturday afternoon. I was cleaning the kitchen, she was curled up on the couch, knees tucked under her, pink headphones askew, laughter spilling out in bubbles. Then silence. A moment later, she called out, "Daddy." I turned. She was holding the iPad out to me, her little brow furrowed. I didn't mean to open this. It just popped up. What popped up? I asked, wiping my hands on a dish towel. This, she said, her finger hovering over the telegram window. I took it. Looked. 1 message. Then 2. Then 4. Miss your hands. Last night in the hotel, I can't stop thinking about your mouth. Wish I could fall asleep next to you, not sneak around like this. From Lucas, work. The room tilted. Maisie was still watching me, waiting. Hey, I said gently. Why don't you go upstairs and check on Josh? She nodded, confused, and patted away. I stood there, frozen, the iPad still glowing in my hand. That was when I heard it. From the hallway, just around the corner, Josh. Whispering to Maisie. I told you. Mom's hiding stuff. I heard her on the phone. I turned to stone. Maisie's voice, barely a murmur, what stuff? Josh again, she said, don't worry, he's clueless. She was laughing. I think she meant Dad. I stood there in the kitchen, paralyzed, everything inside me twisting like a knife had been buried in my gut and turned sideways. I should have walked away. Should have hidden it. Should have waited. But something cracked inside me. I slammed the iPad onto the counter, hard, the sound sharp and final. Grabbed the nearest picture frame off the fridge, the one from Cape Cod, where Claire was kissing my cheek and I looked like the happiest man in the world. I tore it in half. Then in quarters. Then I stood in the middle of our perfect kitchen and whispered something I never thought I'd say. I hate you. And I meant it. Not the person she was, maybe. But the person she became. The one who lied. The one who looked me in the eye and made me feel safe, while setting fire to the home we built behind my back. I didn't know what to do. So I left. Grabbed my keys, got into the car, and drove. No destination. Just asphalt and numb hands and a hollow that echoed in my chest. At some point I pulled into a grocery store parking lot and sat there staring at the steering wheel like it held answers. I looked down. My hands were shaking. 11 years. 2 kids. Dozens of birthday cakes. Hundreds of nights cooking dinner while she texted. I had given her everything. And she gave herself to someone else. The rain started. Just a mist at first, then harder. I let it fall, windows cracked just enough to feel the cold cut across my skin. And I cried. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just, quiet, gasping sobs, like the soul was leaving me through my breath. I don't know how long I sat there. Long enough for the sky to turn gray. I didn't go home right away. I couldn't. Because something inside me had broken. And I wasn't sure if it could be put back together again. Not for her. Not for us. Maybe not ever. The thing about betrayal is that it doesn't explode all at once. It drips. Slowly. Silently. Until one day, the floor beneath you gives way. After I saw the messages, I started replaying everything. All the moments I had chalked up to stress, coincidence, timing. I had no idea how long she had been slipping away. But now, looking back, the signs were everywhere. There was the night Maisie got sick. Fever of 104, shivering so hard her teeth chattered. We rushed her to the ER. I remember sitting there, holding her little hand, whispering, "You're okay, baby, you're okay," while Claire sat a few feet away, scrolling through her phone. Not once did she put it down. Not even when the doctor came in. Not even when Maisie cried out in her sleep. I wanted to scream at her. Can't you be present, just for this? For your own child? But I said nothing. Because I was trying to hold everything together. And then, just 2 weeks later, Josh got bitten by a neighbor's dog. It wasn't a bad wound, thank God, but it needed stitches. We spent the night in urgent care, Josh whimpering, eyes wide and terrified, gripping my arms so tightly I thought he might never let go. Claire was, in a meeting. She showed up 2 hours later, her makeup perfect, her blouse wrinkle-free, smelling like a man's cologne I didn't wear. Josh looked up at her, tear-streaked and trembling. "You weren't here," he whispered. Her face froze. But she didn't apologize. She just leaned in and kissed his forehead and said, "Mommy got here as fast as she could." He turned away from her. And I watched it happen. Watched a part of his innocence go quiet. That night, after the kids were asleep, I sat alone in the dark living room, the hum of the refrigerator the only sound in the house. I stared at the closed bedroom door, knowing she was inside. Texting him. Smiling at her screen. She hadn't touched me in weeks. When I reached for her, she flinched like I was a stranger. And still, I told myself it was just a phase. Maybe she was overwhelmed. Maybe I wasn't doing enough. Maybe if I just loved her harder, it would fix whatever was wrong. But it wasn't me. And it wasn't stress. It was him. Lucas. The man from work. The one who saw her when I was invisible. Who got her laughter, her perfume, her attention. While I got silence. While our kids got absence. Josh cried in the hospital that night. Not just from pain. From fear. From needing both of us, and getting only one. I held him until he fell asleep in my arms. And when I looked up, Claire was already gone, stepped outside to take a call. But I knew the truth. Even then, I knew. She had already left us. Just not physically. Not yet. Maisie's fever broke 2 days later. Josh's stitches came out a week after that. And life, for a moment, appeared to settle. But something in me stayed unsettled. I couldn't forget the look on Josh's face in that hospital bed, asking why Claire wasn't there when he needed her. I couldn't forget Maisie's trembling hand gripping mine in the ER while Claire typed away on her phone, barely lifting her eyes. They'd recovered. Children are resilient like that. But I hadn't. So when the holidays rolled around, I suggested, gently, that they spend a few days at my mother's house. Let them be kids, I told Claire. Let them play, rest, eat too much candy. They need a break. She agreed, too quickly. Didn't ask questions. Didn't blink. Just said, fine, and went back to whatever was on her screen. The moment the kids were gone, the house turned still. Not peaceful. Not quiet in the way that invites rest. Just empty. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay there staring at the ceiling, listening to Claire breathe beside me like nothing was wrong. She slept easily. She always did. But I didn't. Not anymore. I finally got up around 3 a.m., walked into the kitchen, made coffee I didn't need, and stood by the window while it brewed. When I turned around, Claire was leaning against the doorway. Arms crossed. Expression unreadable. That look she wore when she didn't want to be spoken to. "You're up," she said flatly. "Yeah," I replied, pouring the coffee slowly. "Hard to sleep these days." She didn't respond. Didn't ask why. Didn't move. The silence stretched until it snapped. I read the messages, "Claire," I said. Her arms dropped, but her face didn't change. "You were supposed to be asleep," she said coldly. "That's what you're angry about?" I laughed bitterly. "Not that you lied to me. Not that you've been sneaking off with someone behind my back." She rolled her eyes. "Oh, come on. You make it sound like I murdered someone." "You betrayed your family," I said, louder now, my voice cutting into the space between us. "You lied to your children. To me. 4 months. I didn't lie to the kids," she snapped. "They don't know anything. They're fine." "They're not fine." I slammed my cup on the counter. Maisie was crying in the ER. Josh wouldn't even look at you after the hospital. They know something's wrong even if they don't have the words for it. She shook her head, pacing now, her movements sharp. "You act like I'm the only one who let this fall apart. Like you were some perfect husband and I just wandered into someone else's arms for fun." "I never said I was perfect," I replied, voice tight. "But I showed up. Every day. I was here. For you. For them." Claire scoffed. "Yeah, you were here. Physically. Doing your chores, packing lunches. But you haven't seen me in years." I stared at her, stunned. "That's what this is? You didn't feel seen?" "Don't twist it," she hissed. "You stopped caring about me the second I became a mom. The second life got routine. I wasn't a person anymore. Just a schedule. I stepped forward, chest rising, fists clenched at my sides. You think I didn't feel that too? You think I didn't miss you? But I stayed. I waited. I tried. And maybe I just got tired of trying, she said quietly. And there it was. No tears. No regret. Just cold resignation. That hurt more than anything. I looked at her then, really looked at her. The sharp edges where softness used to live. The distance in her eyes. She wasn't sorry. She was angry. Angry that I'd found out. Angry that the illusion had broken. Do you love him? I asked. She didn't answer. That was an answer. I felt something twist in my chest. Like a piece of me was snapping off. One I wouldn't be able to replace. I don't even know who you are anymore, I whispered. Her voice came back hollow. Neither do I. I walked past her, into the hallway. Opened the closet, reached for the framed photo of the four of us at the lake, sun on our skin, wind in our hair, smiles too wide to be faked. I stared at it for a moment. Then I opened the back door, stepped outside into the cold night. And dropped the photo onto the patio. The glass shattered on impact. I didn't even flinch. Behind me, the door clicked shut. I didn't turn around. That was the moment I knew. There was no going back to the way things were. Not after this. Not ever. I didn't mean to follow her. But one Friday morning, something in me snapped. She was getting dressed for work, more effort than usual, red lipstick she only wore on anniversaries, a navy dress that clung too tightly to be professional. She sprayed perfume as she walked out the door, didn't kiss my cheek, didn't say goodbye. She thought I wouldn't notice. But I did. And I followed. I waited a minute, then grabbed my keys and got in the car, heart thudding against my ribs. Her taillights disappeared down Maple Avenue, so I guessed. Took the highway. Kept a few cars behind. Every time she switched lanes, I held my breath. She didn't go to her office. She went downtown. Through traffic. Past her building. She turned into a side street and pulled into the lot of a boutique hotel, the kind with velvet furniture in the lobby and tiny gold letters above the door. I parked across the street. I watched her get out, check her reflection in the car window, and walk into the lobby with practiced ease. Like she'd done it 100 times. Like this wasn't an accident. Like this was routine. And a minute later, I saw him. Lucas. Young. Cocky. Smiling like he already owned her. He walked right past me, no idea who I was. No idea I was the man paying for the house she lived in, the man who held our children through fevers and nightmares while he unbuttoned her dress in places like this. I got out. Crossed the street. The front desk clerk smiled at me, but I didn't stop. I hit the elevator button with a force that made my knuckles sting. The elevator opened. I stepped in. And I knew. I didn't know the room number. But I didn't need to. I knew I'd find them. The 7th floor. I walked the hallway slowly, listening. Then I heard it, soft laughter. A woman's voice. Hers. I followed the sound. Room 714. The door wasn't fully closed. I pushed it open. There they were. Claire on the edge of the bed, her shoes off, laughing at something Lucas had just said. He was standing over her, shirt untucked, wine glasses on the nightstand. She looked up. And froze. The color drained from her face in an instant. Lucas turned, confused. Who the hell? I'm her husband, I said. The silence that followed was deafening. Claire stood, her mouth opening, then closing, nothing coming out. Get your things, I said to her. Now. Lucas stepped forward. Hey, man, this isn't. I turned to him, calm and shaking at the same time. Not a word. You don't speak to me. You don't even look at me. His jaw clenched. He took a step back. Claire's hands were trembling now, mascara smudged slightly at the corners of her eyes. I didn't think. No, I cut her off. You didn't care. She started crying. Finally. I never meant for you to find out like this. You never meant for me to find out at all, I said. You were just going to keep sneaking around, weren't you? Lucas grabbed his coat. I'll give you 2 minutes. Don't come near my family again, I said as he passed. Then it was just her and me. The room reeked of betrayal, wine and perfume and something I couldn't name but would never forget. You lied to me. To our kids. To everyone. She wiped her eyes. I didn't want to hurt you. I laughed. Short. Cold. You wanted him more than you wanted not to hurt me. She looked at the floor. Silent. And that silence, that indifference. That's when the pain gave way to rage. I gave you everything, I said. My voice cracked. My time. My loyalty. My life. And this is what you do with it. She didn't move. I hope it was worth it, I whispered. Because whatever this was, it killed us. She didn't chase me when I left. Didn't call out. Didn't beg. I walked out of the room, down the hallway, out of that hotel. And into the cold November air with my heart in pieces. And my spine finally straight. The house was quiet when I began packing. Not the kind of quiet you get when the kids are asleep or the TV's off. This was the hollow silence of something ending. Something final. Claire wasn't home. We'd agreed, through clipped conversations and exchanged glances, not to do this with an audience. The kids were still at my mother's. They didn't know everything yet. They just knew Daddy was going to stay somewhere else for a little while. Maisie cried when I said it. Josh didn't say anything at all. I opened the closet and stared at the rows of shirts I hadn't worn in months. It felt ridiculous, sorting socks while your life burns down around you. But that's how it works. You spend years building a world with someone. And it ends with packing boxes and paperwork. I didn't take everything. Just what I needed. Just enough. Every time I closed a drawer, a memory surfaced. Her voice calling me from the kitchen. The kids wrestling on the living room rug. Saturday mornings making pancakes, her arms around my waist. I had to keep moving. If I stopped, even for a moment, the weight of it all would crush me. The divorce papers sat on the dining room table. Neat stack. Black ink. Claire had signed them that morning before leaving for work. No note. No, I'm sorry. Just her name, written in the same hand that once signed birthday cards and love letters. I stared at the line where I was supposed to sign. It looked like the edge of a cliff. But this wasn't a fall. It was a step forward. A painful, necessary step. So I picked up the pen. And I signed. That was it. 11 years. 2 children. Dozens of Christmases, shared beds, whispered apologies. Ended. Not with screaming. Not with a slammed door. Just with a signature. The door creaked behind me. Claire was home. She didn't speak right away. She stood in the doorway, watching me zip up my suitcase. "You're really going, then," she said. Her voice was tired. Not regretful. Just tired. "I already did," I replied, not looking at her. A pause. "You'll take them for Christmas? If that's what they want." She nodded. "Josh asked about you yesterday." He misses you. I miss them too. I stood, grabbed the last box. I never stopped. She didn't say anything. Didn't cry. Didn't ask me to stay. And that, somehow, was the deepest cut. I carried my things to the car. The air was cold and sharp. Like the world had moved on without us. Before I got in, I turned back one last time. Claire stood at the front door, arms crossed over her chest, framed by the home we built together. But she didn't wave. She didn't step forward. She just stood there. And I drove away. Not whole. Not healed. But free. And freedom, I was learning, is a kind of beginning too. Forgiveness is never clean. It doesn't come all at once. It comes in pieces, like shattered glass, slowly swept up over time. After I moved out, weeks passed in silence. Texts about the kids. Emails about the house. Nothing more. But one evening, as I was leaving my mother's after dropping off Josh and Maisie, I saw Claire's car parked across the street. She was standing on the sidewalk, arms wrapped around herself like she'd been waiting a while. I almost drove past. Almost. But I stopped. Rolled down the window. And said, "Get in." We didn't speak as I drove. I didn't ask where she wanted to go. I just drove through the familiar streets until we found ourselves parked outside the school where we first met, two scared parents on the first day of kindergarten, unsure of everything except the fact that we'd figure it out together. Claire looked out the window. Her voice was barely a whisper. "I don't expect you to forgive me." I stayed quiet. "I don't deserve it," she said. "I know that." Then she turned toward me, eyes red, voice breaking. I lost myself somewhere. I kept thinking I was missing out on some life I hadn't lived. And then I ruined the one that loved me the most. Her hand trembled on her lap. "I'm sorry. For everything. For Lucas. For the lies. For making you carry it all alone." She wiped her eyes with the sleeve of her coat. "I would undo it if I could. I would choose you, again and again, if you'd still have me." And for the first time in months, I let myself look at her fully. Not the woman who broke me. Not the stranger I'd been sleeping beside. But Claire. The woman I married. Flawed. Fallen. But real. And I realized something. Forgiveness isn't a gift you give because someone earns it. It's what you choose when you're ready to stop bleeding. "I hate what you did," I said. "But I still love you." We sat in silence, both of us knowing it wouldn't be easy. That the trust would take years to rebuild. That we would have to relearn how to be us. We talked for hours. About therapy. About boundaries. About the damage. And 3 weeks later, I moved back in. Not because I was naive. Not because I forgot. But because I believed we might still be worth saving. We never filed the final copy of the divorce. Signed, yes. Delivered, no. Claire worked harder than I thought she would. Open phone. Weekly counseling. Full transparency. There were moments where I saw glimpses of who she used to be. And, slowly, pieces of myself started returning too. The kids were happier. They didn't ask too many questions. They just knew Mom and Dad were together again. And in time, the laughter returned to the house. Softly. Cautiously. But it came. I forgave her. But I never forgot. And then. A year later. We were in the kitchen, making dinner, the kids playing in the yard. Her phone buzzed on the counter. I wasn't snooping. I was grabbing a recipe from her notes. And I saw it. Lucas, work. Still saved. Still there. No messages. No context. Just the name. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe she just never deleted the contact. But the way my stomach dropped told me otherwise. Because trust, once broken, never returns whole. And some ghosts don't stay buried.